Hundreds of videos talking about how to install a French drain. Well, why do they cost so much? People are posting these outrageous costs, like $15,000, $20,000 to install a French drain. And they're telling you that the French drain that they install will last forever. This is a project that you can do yourself. Well, let's take a look at why things cost so much to install a French drain. Here's a typical backyard, and you can see the flood. You see all that water? You notice also that it's uphill from where we're standing out to the street. You can really see it here. This whole area floods dramatically, as well as the side yard. Take a look. So how much does it really cost to install a French drain? Equipment plays a big part of how much French drains cost. Here is a trencher. Trenchers start off used about $15,000 to $30,000. Mini excavators, $25,000 to $50,000. Skid loader, another $20,000. Don't forget the big vehicle to pull all this equipment. And of course the trailer. And also any attachments that you need. And of course, you need a big, large dump trailer to haul this stuff away. Many excavators are best used to dig foundation walls. Yes, you can dig a French drain, but boy is it costly. So my suggestion is to find a company that can do these jobs for much less and not have all this giant equipment to dig a French drain. And or learn how to do these jobs yourself and truly save $15,000 or more. Take a look at one of our installs. Learn how to do this yourself and truly save tens of thousands of dollars. So if you've watched any of our videos, usually I show you the problem area first. But let's go ahead and start the trencher and start a trench. And let me show you the groundwater so that you can see it. We'll widen up this trench and you'll see this groundwater just begin to pour into this thing, and then you'll see how the easy flow, the yard drain, actually works to collect the water, and the sump pump will lift it up and send it out.
So we're going to widen up the trench a little bit because that easy drain, the quick drain, it's like 8.5 inches wide, so we need to be a little bit wider. You can see we're quite deep. You can see how far I'm stepping down, and boy is it muddy. It's really wet, really wet. This will take care of that, suck up all that water, a couple catch basins for surface water, but you can see how muddy that is. So I would suggest that you get a trencher if you were going to do this yourself. Save you a whole lot of time and effort. We're going to go ahead and connect this line, from the back over where Chuck's at. Bring that line over to here. We'll start with the catch basin in the low spot. More easy flow coming down. And somewhere up here we're going to put a sump pump and then lift it up and send it all the way out to the street.
So basically with the trencher, this entire trench was dug within about 20-25 minutes. And it makes really quick work of digging the trench. Don't let that fool you. There is lots and lots of soil to move, widening the trench, of course laying the pipe, and of course backfilling. These are the things that really wear people out and make the job very tiresome. But hopefully you can take a look at this video and get some idea of the whole project pictured in your mind before you even start.
Okay, so we've got a real nice trench. These guys have cleaned it out, and you can see the water, the groundwater already starting to come up in here. Can you see it down here? This is groundwater. It's rising up, and there's basically no place for this water to go, and you can see even more of it over here. The longer that we let this set, the more water that there'll be. This is all yard drain, okay? This is all going to be the quick drain, the styro rock as I call it, and that stuff works so good. It picks up that groundwater instantly, and we'll send it down. Then we're going to change to solid through this section right here. They just need to clean the trench out. This will all be solid pipe, comes over. Same thing on this side. You can see, I see the groundwater already coming into this trench. There's so much water back here. So we'll pick up with the easy flow, and basically up there where chances that line's coming this direction, and this line is coming this direction. We'll tee it in here, and over here where the shovels are is where we're going to put our sump basin to lift that up. Then we'll use some of the same trench, and you can see I trenched it all the way out to the street. That's our 1.5-inch discharge. So really a straightforward job. As we put it together, you'll make more sense. So up here at the front, this is the fun part. As you can see, we've got all kinds of cable. We've got irrigation. We've got water meters over here, and we're going to go ahead and trench through here. You can see there's old cables. Hopefully that's an old cable. Just cutting the sod off takes that off. But we're going to be right along this yellow line right here, or this orange line, as we come through this section. A little bit of stress if you do it yourself, but that's why you get things marked. Okay, so we've got our yard drain ready to install. You can see the easy flow, the styro rock ready to go into the ground, some catch basins. These guys are just widening up the trench right here so that we can just get the 4-inch pipe in there. So we're putting in the quick and easy drain. You can see it's coming down. It's going to turn and come into our sump basin. You can see how much groundwater there is right here. There's tons of groundwater. And we've got another line that comes from this direction. It's coming down. We're just going to use a T because we've got really good fall to bring it over to the basin. Then we've got a section of solid pipe as it came across the high section of the yard. We don't need to do any type of yard drain there. We've collected the water back here. And you can see where the easy flow ends right here. We got our catch basins installed, and we'll go ahead and cover this up, take our excess soil out. Then we'll put some risers on here, and I'll show you how we do that to extend those catch basins up to the proper grade. But looking really good, looking really good. Water's already flowing through the trench, coming all the way around over to our sump basin, which is right here. Okay, so we've got our sump pump installed, Zoller M98. Got the check valve, line comes up. Remember, we're underground, so we're drilled through the side of the pit to bring our 1.5-inch out. You can see the inlet line coming in. We're in the same trench as the easy flow until we get to the end of it down there, and then it's just 1.5 inches all the way out to the street. So a really good job for the do-it-yourselfer. There is some plumbing here, so a lot of different connections, but we're starting at a catch basin. It's a 9x9. You can see it down here. It's in the lowest portion of the yard, and we're digging through grade to bring that line over to a T where it ties into the sump pump. And then this line actually comes downhill, but it floods right here, so we put more yard drain in here all over to the pit. Sump pump lifts it up. We're using the same trench for the 1.5 inch until we get past the end of the easy flow, and then it's just 1.5 inches all the way out to the street. This solid pipe, this is a real high spot in the yard, so there's no reason to put the yard drain through here. We collected the water over here. You can see we're still setting the catch basins, but you can see all that water down in the trench. This thing's picking up water really fast and sending it over to the basin. You saw the sump basin's already full. So it's going to work really good, but a great project for the do-it-yourselfer. Something that you could do. I would suggest you get a trencher, and the reason why on this job is we've got all these trees and there's a ton of roots down here. So the trencher makes quick work of that. It cuts them out really quick. It takes 20 minutes to trench. Most of this is actually backfill, and we were lucky. We've got a space over here in the neighbor's yard where we're going to put all the excess and grade it out and fill up that low spot for them, because it's just a swimming pool when it rains. Okay, so now we're going to go ahead and cut an extension, a riser for the catch basin. And just a quick note, this is SDR 35. You can see it right here. I know it's backwards, but SDR 35. This is SDR 26. And if you look carefully, can you see the difference? This pipe is much wider, much thicker than SDR 35. And this is what you need to extend a 6-inch basin. Real simple, but make sure that you have the right material. This is available at Lowe's, probably the only place that carries the 6-inch pipe. This is left over from a job. I just wanted to show you the difference between the two. So when you put your extension on, this grate it just snaps right onto the top of your 6-inch pipe. And you can see how I've made it rise up from the catch basin because our line is much deeper. See how deep the line is, and we brought this up so that the surface water can now drop into the basin. And we are still, there's grade. You can see my hand. Whoops. There's grade. So we want to be just a little bit below grade when we put that together. We have one more to do. Okay, we're all done. This line's almost ready to be completely backfilled and covered, cleaned up. You can see our first catch basin right here. Kind of bright. First catch basin. We'll finish cleaning that off. I went ahead and put the risers on here. You can see because our trench is going deeper, we want to be able to get that surface water to drop into our catch basin, so we need to extend it. And you can see the SDR 35, that 6-inch pipe. That's only available at Lowe's or a plumbing supply, but readily available at Lowe's. And you can see another one here where we had to extend the basin up so that we can get closer to grade. Then we're backfilling. Line comes down all the way over. A couple more catch basins. One here, 2, 3, and the beginning of the line is right here. So this is all ready to backfill. You can see our discharge, 1.5-inch pipes in the same trench. And that runs out until we get past the yard drain. You can see the water still coming up through the ground, but it's just perking right into the system, and it's being carried down to the pump. These guys are backfilling. They're almost done. They're doing a great job. This was a big job for just a few men, but something the homeowner could do themselves. Definitely you need a trencher. I would strongly suggest that. The tree roots in here are severe, and if you have a lot of roots in your yard, the trencher is really the best way to get through those. A couple quick questions answered here. People ask, how deep does your drain need to be? Well, you can see the groundwater right there, right? So, you could go deeper, but where are you going to discharge it to? Remember, you either have a choice of gravity or you have a choice of a sump pump. And you can see our sump basin over there with the extension cord sitting on the top. They're going to put, the electrician's going to come out and they'll have permanent power here, but we leave an extension cord. So those are your choices. You can go as deep as you want, but you've got to have discharge. If you're going to try to do a gravity, which would be, out to the street, here you can see that's really uphill. So we needed to put a pump in. How deep do you need to dig? It all depends on your discharge. So that's tip number 1. Tip number 2 is I love these 6x6 catch basins. They're perfect. They have the same size outlet as a 12-inch basin. So regardless of how big the basin is, it's the outlet that determines how fast the water flows freely. So these are exactly the same size. They're 3.5-inch, we'll call it 4-inch, and you can easily extend this because they're round. When you use a square catch basin and your line's deeper than whatever, and you have to extend it, you have a problem because there are inserts available, but they're very costly. And other people, even I've done it, where we have no choice. We have to extend that basin. We'll go ahead and buy 2 basins, cut them off, and slide one inside the other. And of course, that gives us the height that we need. But very costly way to do it. And these people wanted a 9x9 here, so we put one here. But the outlet is exactly the same as the round. So that's just a couple of tips. I really like these round basins. I think they're the absolute best for the money and readily available at both Home Depot and Lowe's. So you can see our discharge line. We had to do a lot of excavation before we even trenched, just to find all the sprinkler and the water. And of course that cable, it's all over the place, but mostly we're exploring to find the water line because they do not mark the water line beyond the meter. So kind of weird, but that's what they do. And a couple of tips, when you do this, make sure that you have tools available to shut off that water if needed. Because if you do hit that water line, you're going to have to make a repair. And you can see that sump pump just kicked on. You see that? And it's just working great. It's already collecting water. The tip I wanted to tell you was if you're going to do a discharge at the walk, make sure that you don't have a low spot. You see that water? So you don't want this water to just pour out here onto the concrete. So what we did, we used the jetter to get under the walk. That's why there's water here. But make sure that you don't have a low spot. Otherwise, that you're pumping all that water, it just comes right out here on the walk. Let's go ahead and put the discharge out here at the curb where it belongs. So if you're going to use a sump pump, make sure that your discharge, even if you just have a gravity discharge and a pop-up, make sure that you don't have a low spot on the sidewalk. You see that water sitting over there? We tunneled this walk and we used the jetter to get under there, so there's, that's just our water from that. But you can see it goes nowhere. Much better to bring that discharge out here to the curb so that that water doesn't flood the sidewalk and instead gets into the curb and is carried away to the storm drain where it belongs. And this is perfectly acceptable almost everywhere. Granted, it does freeze up north and you'll have to check with those municipalities, but for the most part, as long as that water doesn't impede or freeze, on the walkway, you're in good shape.
And of course, we need to remove all that excess soil. So we load it up in our utility trailer. This works just as good as a great big dump trailer. And yeah, it's a little bit more labor, but boy, does it save on the money. So when you hire a contractor that has all this equipment just to dig a French drain, of course, it's going to cost a whole lot of money. Many excavators are best used to dig foundation walls. Yes, you can dig a French drain, but boy is it costly.
Hey, this is Chuck with Apple Drains reminding you that if you believe you can do something, I guarantee you can do it. Have a great day.